strong winter here in the heart of New England, and the Arute family is about ready to kick off the festivities for the SK Modified, Stafford's own open-wheel modified division. Two of the toughest competitors in the field will be heart of New England for the 34th annual CarQuest TechNet Spring Sizzler. The men who live by the grace of God are set to go the distance. This is the greatest race in the history of spring. I'm Van Dodge along with Matt Buckler. We're ready for the start as we head to green.
And who will get the jump? It looks like Lemon George in the zero car gets the upper hand. Everybody navigates their way through the first turn cleanly.
Nep George takes advantage of things, but right to the outside is Todd Szegedy. Szegedy driving the Mike Bowler race car for the very first time. Here comes Donnie Leah. He'll challenge. White number 18 is dancing without a partner for position number 3. He'll go to the outside of the defending series champion. That is Tony Hirschman as they head off turn 2.
Tony Hirschman a little wobbly off the first corner, but he is able to calm the car down. A great battle between himself and Donnie Leah for third place.
Then it's a battle of Reggie Ruggiero and Eddie Flemke. Both of them are partners in a fabrication business that builds these type of race cars. But it is Ruggiero who takes advantage and takes over position number 5. The number 41, the red car, moves to the inside, given the 5th spot. But not without a fight. Dogfight battle as Chuck Hosfeld runs strong to the outside. They're wheel-to-wheel back at the line.
But he doesn't have enough energy in that car right now to keep up with Reggie Ruggiero in car number 41. Ed Flemke right behind him. It was 32 years ago today, man. Ed Flemke Sr. was the second Spring Sizzler. What a 50th birthday present it would be for Eddie Jr. to win his first Spring Sizzler.
There has only been one event run in the Whelen Modified Series in 2005. And Ted Christopher is the man who dominated the racing action. Well, if you call dominating, winning by a bumper. That's exactly what Ted Christopher did over Zach Sylvester. Currently, Christopher, Jimmy Galante's Mystique Motorsports number 13, sets back at the bottom of the top 10. Here comes the Reg. He's challenging Donnie Leah. Reggie Ruggiero puts the Atlantic sprinkler system, number 41, to the inside. In position, number 4 to car number 41. And the tail that wags the dog becomes Chuck Hosfeld with car number 50 as they come back to the stripe.
Ruggiero looked like a cork popping out of a champagne bottle as he just spurted ahead of Leah. And also, Hosfeld taking advantage of that move in car number 50. Now Ted Christopher starting to make some noise as he tries to go down low underneath the Eddie Flemke car.
Another driver that is working his way towards the front is the driver of the Polar Beverages number 1 car for Ricky Fuller. Remember, Ricky Fuller has been to the winner's circle before here in Sizzler competition. He is no stranger to running up front. He'll pick up yet another position here as car number 1 also is coming on strong and working its way to the front of the field. 8 laps now complete in this 200-lap event, presented to you by CarQuest. Let's set the stage. It is Nevin George, your leader, and Ralph Solom, number 0 at the point. Trouble out, Chris Kopech. The Flamingo Motorsports, number 16, goes spinning to the center of the infield. He's going to go down a lap map.
As Nevin George and company pass him by, Chris Kopech, who took off the entire 2004 season because of a concussion, is now in last place at the Spring Sizzler.
Back towards the front of the field, it is still Nevin George in command, car number 0 out of Kunkeltown, Pennsylvania. Setting in second, it is the Bowler Racing Enterprises machine for Todd Szegedy. Eric Beers was scheduled to drive the car. He broke his collarbone and some ribs during the first event of the season, sets out today's event, but will be back behind the wheel in upcoming event.
And I asked Todd Szegedy what he thought about never having driven that car before. He said it was no big deal. He was confident in his ability that he could get that car to the front.
Confidence is a key ingredient, and the Bowler family have put confidence in a lot of drivers over the years. Let's shift a little further back now. The red number 41 of Reggie Ruggiero being hunted down by Chuck Hosfeld. Todd Szegedy drove this car to a championship and to tremendous success here at Stafford. Bill Moran, the crew chief on the automobile, has got Hosfeld dialed into perfection. Now, 1 year ago in this event, Hosfeld was driving Bob Garbarino's number 4 and was the guy literally gone at the front of the field. His strategy today visually appears to be much different than it was 1 year ago.
Yeah, it looks like he's very patient at this stage of the race as he is content to be behind Reggie Ruggiero in car number 41. Todd Zegedy says Chuck Hosfeld says it's an easy adjustment for him to make going with that Phil Moran team. He said those are great guys involved with that race team.
A little further back, Eddie Flemke, the birthday boy, is right behind Donnie Leah. That is in the 7th spot. 8th is Teddy Christopher. 9th is Ricky Fuller. And rounding out the top 10, it is Frank Rocco with car number 91. Eric Byrne, SK Modified standout, is just under the top 10. Ricky Fuller has a problem out off turn 2.
Yeah, Ricky Fuller, a stutter step coming off the second corner. Frank Rocco unable to take advantage of it. Donnie Leah now trying to get underneath Reggie Ruggiero.
Hosfeld moved in, took over the 4th spot. Going, gone. He gave Ruggiero a tap to the bumper and then drove on by. Leah is waiting in the wings. Kevin Crowley prepares this race car for the competition for Leah. And Leah's confidence is up this season. He time trialed exceptionally well. He's glued to the back bumper of the Raceworks chassis number 41.
Leah didn't get off to the greatest start in 2004. Hit his stride about the middle of the summer, and he looks very comfortable now, content to ride it out behind the reg.
But it is still Nevin George at the point. Ralph Solom is one of those crafty veteran car owners and crew chiefs. He knows how to get the very most out of his equipment, and Nevin George is showing that right now at the point.
He's never had a lot of luck here at Stafford Speedway, but right now he's holding off one of the best drivers in the country in Todd Zegedy and Tony Hirschman, who just missed out on winning the Sizzler a year ago, has crowded in, so 3 are jammed together at the front of the field.
There is no question about it that Hirschman is a very consistent runner. Saves his equipment till late in the event and then shows his cards at the table.
He's won 4 championships in his career. Last year, however, might have been the most satisfying because he called all the shots. Before, he was just really driving, brought his bag to the track and stepped into the car. Last year, he was not only the driver, he was also the manager of the team, and that's why that title number 4 was such a big thrill for Hirschman.
Teddy Christopher has moved around Eddie Flemke. That'll give him position number 7. The 2 will touch. They touch off turn 2.
They might have done that a few times here in the Spring Sizzler in years past.
Well, Christopher gives the birthday boy a spanking in turn 2. And back to the point, it is still Nevin George, but Todd Zegedy is right there. Just reels him in. It appears visually that Zegedy is the quicker of the 2 at the point.
Yeah, it looks like he could go after the lead anytime he wants it. But right now, he's very comfortable to just follow the tire tracks of George. Chuck Hosfeld has made up a lot of ground, and right now he's hounding Tony Hirschman for the number 3 position.
Flemke's car slightly off the pace now. Christopher just motored on by, and now Ricky Fuller is starting to work over the number 10 with the Polar Beverage number 1. Then Frank Rocco still there with Eric Byrne. Charlie Pastriak has found a home with Jim Storis, Kenny Berry, Doug Colby, and Mike Christopher in a car that was previously driven by Ed Flemke.
The best battle on our track now is between Eddie Flemke and Ricky Fuller in the white 1 car. Fuller now losing a little ground to the 10 of Flemke.
Yeah, Flemke's car is not as strong, Matt, as we saw it early in the first 15 laps of the event. Back to the point, literally inches separate first from second. Here comes Zegedy. Nope, can't do it. Nevin George slams the door. The vibration can be felt on the back bumper, and that comes from Todd Zegedy.
Oh, right now, Zegedy, the brightest blip on the radar screen. He has room underneath Nevin George.
27 circuits into the record book. First challenge for the lead. Nevin George, here comes Zegedy. They touch. Rub rails off turn number 4 by inches at the line. George. Zegedy fights back, Matt, in turn 2.
Yeah, I don't know if they touch. I think they hammered each other. And Zegedy finally has the gap he needed. Hirschman now trying to explode through the same cavity to move into second.
Trouble now. Hirschman goes around right in the apex of turns 3 and 4 as we go down on pit road. Hirschman freshman is able to get it fired back up.
Boy, when was the last time you saw Tony Hirschman spin when he was contending for the lead?
So let's set the field. 30 laps as they cross the stripe this time. The leader is Todd Szegedy, the second leader of the event. Nevin George setting in second. Then in the third spot is Chuck Hosfeld. Donnie Leah is fourth. Reggie Ruggiero is fifth. Sixth is Teddy Christopher. Seventh is Ed Flemke. Eighth is Ricky Fuller. Ninth is Frank Rocco. And 10th is Eric Byrne. Just out of the top 10 is Charlie Pastriak, Jim Storis, Doug Colby, Kenny Berry, Mike Christopher, and Tony Ferrante.
While you were running down the top 15, Ben, Todd Szegedy able to widen his lead over the zero of Nevin George. Remember this year, we have really two defending champions. Jerry Marquis, the defending championship driver, but that 3-car of Mike Bowler sat in victory lane a year ago. So that's a defending championship car, and right now it's picking up right where it left off 1 year ago.
Dogfight battle for positions at the bottom of the top 10 as Ricky Fuller just slingshot by Ed Flemke and picked up a position here. But your leader still remains. Car number 3, Mike Bowler, the son of the legendary Lenny Bowler, and his mother run this race team. And they are very successful at doing just that.
You know, now Todd Szegedy lives in North Carolina, and I asked him how he liked living there. He said, it's great because things are a lot cheaper than they are in Richmond.
Well, with 35 laps showing on the scoreboard, the leader is about to come up. And lap cars at the tail end of the field. The first car to be lapped and put down a lap in competition will be Kevin Konopka with car number 51. In front of Konopka is the G. Lopes number 46 car, and that, of course, is Dick Houlihan out of Bridgewater, Mass.
And you get the feeling, Ben, that Chuck Hosfeld can get by Nevin George almost any time he wants. It looks like the 50 is a little faster than the 0, and Donnie Leah has closed up a lot of ground, and he's become a factor again for 4th place.
Hosfeld right there contending on the back bumper. They come up on lap traffic now. Leader gets by for Todd Szegedy. Nevin George squeaks by the lap car of Konopka, car number 51, the red and black car. And so does Donnie Leah.
Here comes Ted Christopher going to the outside of Reggie Ruggiero. And he has moved into 5th place.
Ruggiero is not as strong as he was early in the event. His car seems to be going away on him. As Mike Bowler gets down into the dirt on the bottom of the racetrack and almost spins.
And Ted Christopher seems
trouble down the back straightaway. Jerry Marquis, defending race winner, and the double 0 of Mike Stefanik. It almost appeared as if Marquis' car suddenly just shut down. Marquis went spinning to the inside of the racetrack. Stefanik had no place to go. He hits at a ton and backs into the wall.
So 2 drivers with 5 Sizzler championships between them are out of commission on lap number 40.
Heartbreaking situation for the drivers of both these teams. Jerry Marquis, set behind the wheel of the Bowler number 3 last year, won this event. Chuck Hosfeld vacated that ride, and moving in to the number 4 machine was Jerry Marquis. Mike Stefanik did not want to make a total commitment to running all of the events on the Whelen Modified Tour, and then decided just days before the icebreaker to get behind the wheel of Joe Brady's race car.
And now, Ben, you see that red flag at the entrance of pit row. The pits are closed down. They will open up shortly, and it will be interesting to see if anybody goes in there to make adjustments on the car. And I'm thinking perhaps somebody like Eddie Flemke, Ricky Fuller, we'll see if they will go in and make an early pit stop. Remember, you are allotted 4 tires during the course of the race, and some drivers, like Ted Christopher said, they might put on 1 tire early and save 3 for about the last 40 laps.
Well, this is lap number 41 of the greatest race in the history of spring, the 34th annual TechNet Spring Sizzler from Jackaroo Stafford Motor Speedway. Caution flag comes out. two cars tangled. Jerry Marquis' car almost visually appeared to shut down, like something on the car shut off as he went down the back straightaway. He tried to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. The field of cars that followed cut back across. Mike Stefanik had nowhere to go. There was contact made, and Stefanik backs into the wall at a ton in Joe Brady's number 00. That's a heartbreaking situation for him.
And a new rule being instituted this year in NASCAR at the Whelen Modified Tour. Kind of the lucky dog rule that if you watched a lot of Nextel Cup, the same rule that being used in that series. Kevin Konopka is a lap down as we go under a yellow flag condition here. The cars are parked on the backstretch, but before we go back to green, Kevin Konopka, because he is the fastest car that's not on the lead lap, will be able to get back to the tail end of the lead lap. The free pass system instituted this year in the modified series.
Now let's take a look at our Diamond Vision screen as we take a look at it again. Here's what's happened down the back straightaway. Marquis' car goes to the outside, falters, comes down across the racetrack, and the two will touch. The end result, Stefanik hits the wall backwards at a ton. Marquis' car to the left of your screen, and they are now moving the number 00.
Well, Jerry Marquis has brought the Mystic Missile back down to the attention of the crew. They changed 4 tires on the race car behind the wall. Now this is more for cosmetic purposes to fix the rear bumper. Jerry Marquis made hard contact out on the racetrack, as right now the actual bumper has detached from the left side of the race car. The rear bumper, that is, has detached from the mount that goes onto the race car. Tony was talking about tire wear. I looked at the tires that came off of Jerry Marquis' car. Tire wear wasn't bad, but the right rear tire had some chunks missing out of it. I don't know if that was indication from the accident or actually that tire wear might become a problem. That's something we're going to keep our eye on down here on pit road. Ben, back up to you.
Down into turn number 3, the spotters are all ready to anticipate the start in this one. The Whelen Modified Tour NASCAR officials are ready. The starters stand addressing the field now as we're about to go back to green. Will Todd Szegedy be able to pull it off on the restart? They're up to speed off turn number 4. Szegedy, before they get to the line by almost a car length, Matt, down to the bottom of turn 2.
The battle is for second. Hasfelbaum backs out of it a bit, coming off of turn 2, leaving second place open for Devin George.
Donnie Leah goes to the outside. He'll rim ride off turn number 4. The Reg is back to life with Teddy Christopher. That's the battle for the 5th spot. Red number 41 and the 13, the TC10 Christopher, the man in black.
Chuck Hosfeld in car number 50 has started to fade since the restart, as he has lost 3 positions so far. And Reg Ruggiero is coming up. It might be even more trouble for Hosfeld as that car gets a little dancy into turn 4, kind of wobbly. Not a smooth ride so far.
Trouble now down into turn number 1. We've got 4, make that 5 cars that have come together, and a gaggle of cars that are all tangled to the top side of turn number 1. The number 10 of Ed Flemke pulls away. Kopeck, Goodale is able to make it out. It looks like the Shivers machine is wedged into the retaining wall on the outside.
I think Jim Storrs in the orange car is also right there,
the
Ben.
21 of Kenny Berry, and I believe it's the 69 car of Tommy Close involved in the altercation. We are on lap number 50.
Eric Burt was involved in that altercation, but was able to drive away in car number 64.
So Kenny Berry off to a very difficult start in 2005. He's the defending series rookie winner of the 2004 season, driving his dad's race car. Kenny is an unbelievable fabricator who has become a good little race car driver as well. And the family owned an operation that builds and fabricates these race cars. They have had a lot of the top name drivers over the years set behind the wheel of their race cars, including Mike Stefanik. There's the Flemke, number 10 on pit road. Let's go to Andy Crane. Andy?
The guy's over the wall right now taking care of the 10 car for Eddie Flemke Jr. Has heavy damage on the right side of the race car. Right side Nerf bar is pushed right up into the cockpit area of where the driver would sit. The car pushed into it, the incident And right now, the right rear tire is going to come off of the race car and they're making the changes. Other than that, crew says the car's not that bad besides the rub rail damage. We're going to go up pit road now. Doug Kobe is now on pit road. The crew looking on the right front side of that race car. The car going to go up on the jack right now. And they're going to make a change. Fuel going into the 77 car. They're looking at the right front spindle, and it looks to be more severe damage than the 77 team wanted to see. And one crew member just gave it the shut-off sign as Doug Kobe is in trouble down here on pit road.
Ed Flemke started the day turning 50, and by the time this day is over, he might be 150 if his luck doesn't improve.
Incidentally, he headed down on pit road with severe damage to the race car on lap number 50. Play on numbers in this, the greatest race in the history of spring. It was not the Shivers number 23, the yellow car up in turn number 4. It was Doug Colby's car number 77 that is now down on pit road. Right front suspension damage is the story there. That's the car that John Beluit successfully drove to many a top finish here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Off turn number 4, back to the stripe they come. Flemke is back down on pit road, and Szegedy brings them back to the line.
The battle is for second. Here comes Christopher challenging Nevin George.
Christopher on the inside, position number 2. The man in black, Jimmy Galante's race car, prepared by Barry Cannell. Challenges for the lead. Ted Christopher is in command. Lap number 55, leader number 3.
And he made it look easy as he just laser beamed his way underneath Todd Szegedy.
Nevin George slips up the track just a bit. Good battle going on. Further back in the field, the 35 of Moeller and the 54 of Etheridge have come together. Back to the front. Battle is for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Ruggiero stuck in the outside lane. Haspel loose. The car darts right and then darts left. He loses the spot. Ricky Fuller is in 6th. The Polar Beverage number 1.
And Frank Rocco also a victim there as he got caught behind Haspel. The yellow comes out as a 4-car Marquis stranded on the backstretch.
Caution flag comes out. Jerry Marquis, the defending race winner, for the second time in this event, brings out a caution. His car comes to a screeching halt down the backstretch just behind the Dodge Weekly Racing Series scoreboard. Lap number 58, 3 leaders so far. Ted Christopher, the winner of event number 1, is the man on top. He leads the event over Todd Szegedy, currently running 2nd with the bowler number 3. Ralph Solom's. George Excavating number 0 for Nevin George sets in 3rd. Atlantic Sprinkler Systems number 41 of Reggie Ruggiero in the 4th spot. And the Leah Auto Group number 18 for Donnie Leah in position number 5. 6th spot currently the Polar Beverage number 1 for Ricky Fuller. 7th position is the famous Al's Hot Dog Machine. Car number 50. The driver of that car, of course, is Chuck Haspel. Then in the 8th spot, it is the 31 of Ferrante. 9th position, the 91 of Rocco. And rounding out the top 10, it is the Tony Hirschman machine, we believe, and the 76 of Tommy Bowles. More action coming down on pit road, heading to Andy Crane. Andy.
Well, down here still, Jerry Marquis doing cosmetic work to the Mystic Missile. Also got a chance to talk to Doug Kobe quick. They brought the 77 car behind the wall. I asked him what happened, said just racing incident with Mike Christopher up there in corner number 1. The actual A-frame for the right front actually separated from the race car, and his day looks to be done. That's why I'm going to make my way now down to Jamie the Jet Tomato's pit. Tomato in, routine stop. The car going up on the backside, filling the car full of fuel right now. They're looking over the front part of the race car. Gave the thumbs up to the Jet off the jack, revs it up, fires the motor, and he'll make it out as Charles Pastriak will win the race off of pit road.
What they are designed to do is be consistent as you go back out on the racetrack. As we go back to green flag racing, we'll give you more on the tires in just a minute. Back to Ben.
Car number 21 was the Lucky Dog recipient and is on the lead lap as we speak. Christopher in command. Look at the reg. He's going to the outside of Nevin George. That is the battle for third. Reggie Ruggiero has gotten his second win. All of a sudden, Todd Szegedy does a little dancing of his own without a partner. That is directly in front of Nevin George and Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero goes to the outside, challenges on for second down the back straightaway.
And who said there wasn't going to be an outside groove at the Spring Sizzler as Ruggiero moves into
Trouble
third
now.
place?
Mike Christopher goes spinning with car number 79, and that brings out a yellow on lap number 64.
Boy, it has not been a smooth transition so far from Mike Christopher aboard that number 79 car. At the Thompson Icebreaker, they never really got that car straightened out. Had a mediocre finish, and he's en route for another one today.
We are at the fourth caution of the event, 64 laps in the greatest race in the history of spring. Let's now go to Andy Crane on pit road where action is hot and heavy. Andy?
Well, Ben, Tony was talking about tire wear, and tire wear is definitely going to play a story in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler. This is a tire that just came off Jamie the Jet Tomato's car. If we look closely to this tire, you can see chunks of the right rear racing tire starting to come off. Same with Jerry Marquis, and we're only in the early stages, only 50 or so laps in. So tire wear definitely going to start to play the story, as we can see a lot of the leader teams coming over here, taking a look at this tire right now, and relaying that to the drivers, letting them know that tire wear could be a factor before this race goes to the checkered flag.
So maybe that might have a factor in it. What we're going to have to do later on is to talk to the Hoosier guys after the race so we have a better feel for how these tires are going to perform throughout the entire season. But right now, they are a factor. We didn't think they were going to be, but tires are a factor in this race. Back to Ben.
We should point out a couple of key notes here. The 21 car of Kenny Berry was 2 laps down. On the last caution, it was the lucky dog and picked up 1 lap. On this caution, it will pick up the second lap, and it'll go to the rear of the field. Tony Hirschman is on the lead lap. We want to point that out. You remember earlier he spun down the front straightaway to the inside of the racetrack. So Donnie Leah now pulls out of line with car number 18. We could see some pit action here as the Leah machine moves to the bottom of the racetrack here. Behind him is the number 10 car also. It does look like Leah is planning on making a pit stop. Is this the old possum game, or is it the real deal? Stay tuned. It's going to happen in just a few seconds. Pit road is open. Rene Dupuis returning to the competition. Is Leah going to come down on pit road? The answer is yes. Donnie Leah is heading down pit road. Andy Crane, this could be the story of this event. Leah was among the quickest cars in the first 66 laps.
Absolutely, Ben Dodge is the guys ready to make a right rear tire change and full the car full of Sunoco racing fuel. Tire wear definitely a factor. Donnie Leah is now made aware of this. They want to pit now, maybe a 2-tire strategy. They go over the wall. The crew jacks up the Leah racing car number 18. Right side, Hoosier tires coming off, and I can see chunks of tire missing from these tires as well. Right side, brand new tires going back on. Quick adjustment to the right front of the race car. Donnie Leah sitting in the car, instructing the crew what to look for on the tires as he now off the jack, down and away. As we're going to take a look at the tires and get right back to you, see what kind of tire wear that Donnie Leah is having in the Spring Sizzler.
Donnie Leah might have pulled off the Timex timely move of the event by coming in and pitting. He's got a long way to go, but there's plenty of time to get the job done. But for Teddy Christopher and the man that sits outside, Todd Szegedy, those tires have run 67 circuits. We go back to green in this Sizzler event.
But those tires still look in great condition for Christopher as he reinserts himself at the front. Reggie Ruggiero making a move for second.
Ricky Fuller has been waiting in the wings. He gave Reggie Ruggiero a shot to the bumper to make him aware of the fact that he is there. Fuller is coming to the front with a vengeance. He'll try to take over the 3rd spot as Ruggiero is up to 2nd. The Atlantic Sprinkler Systems number 41 takes over the runner-up spot, but Ruggiero is loose this time, coming off turn number 2. Down to the bottom of turn 3, Fuller moves into the 3rd spot. Christopher, your leader. Reggie Ruggiero in 2nd, and Fuller is also dancing without a partner down into turn 1.
And perhaps the tires are starting to evaporate on that number 3 car of Todd Szegedy, as on that last restart he goes from 2nd all the way back to 4th.
A car that has moved into the top 7 is car number 15. the TAS Country Homes machine for Zach Sylvester. Sylvester did not time trial well today, started the event in the 26th starting position, and he has already worked his way up to contend among the top 9 cars. Tony Ferrante is a factor, and Tommy Bowles, remember him? 1 year ago, he finished in the top 5. Here comes the Reg, and Teddy's got a handful of race car as they head down to turn 1.
Boy, it's almost like the old days, almost like a meeting of AARP at the front of the field. And 3 guys in their early 50s or late 40s are battling it out for the top spot: Christopher, Ruggiero, and Fuller.
Jerry Marquis is just driving around in front of the field. What a difference a year will make for Marquis, but it is still Christopher, your leader. Here comes the Reg. He'll go to the outside. Can't do it. Pulls it back right into line. Ricky Fuller waiting in that line, and Reggie Ruggiero gives Christopher a shot to the bumper. He lets him know he's there. As they come off turn number 4, Marquis is about to go a lap down. Down the back straightaway, Bo Gunning goes spinning, but we're still under green.
Now you would think that because Ruggiero spent a lot of his time on the outside this year, that he would have used up a lot of his tires. But that doesn't seem the case, as he's almost in Christopher's glove compartment as they headed to turn 4.
Meanwhile, 675 clicks off on the big board. Ted Christopher is the man on top. Reggie Ruggiero right there with him. And now Ruggiero makes a bold move to the bottom this time. And Reggie's fans love it. Ted Christopher, already been to victory lane in the SK Modified, been on the podium in the late models. We've got a yellow. Car number 21, Kenny Berry, again involved in another altercation down in turn number 1. And Kenny Berry, who was the lucky dog twice.
The luck runs out, didn't it?
It sure did, as he picks up at the rear of the field, bringing out the 5th caution in this afternoon's event, presented to you by CarQuest and the good folks from TechNet, your professional auto service experts.
I'm looking forward to this restart, Ben, between 2 of the best to ever race in this division. Ted Christopher will be on the bottom, and Reggie Ruggiero in car number 41. Looks like the Reggie of the 90s when he and Mike Stefanik dominated this touring division.
You do some. Tire wear is going to be a factor with the tires that came off Donnie Leah's number 18 car. Same thing as everybody else. Chunks of tire, outside core to the right rear Hoosier tire is starting to come apart. They're saying they can't get more than 50 good laps before the tire really starts to come apart. This has been circulating up and down pit road right now. All the teams are made aware of it. Rick Fuller's team, I talked to his tire specialist, said they're not wearing as bad as everybody else. But then I just talked to Teddy Christopher's crew, said it's not a problem. So definitely the story of the spring Sizzler right now has to be the right rear tire for these Tour Modifieds.
So caution flag still displayed in the field, lap number 78 in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler. We are under a caution situation here. Car number 21 brought out the last caution, which was caution number 5. Kenny Berry will pick up at the rear of the field. Mike Moeller is also down on pit road. Frank Rocco is behind the wall, and now Donnie Leah is back in on pit road. Let's go back to Andy Crane.
Well, and I'm heading my way up to Donnie Leah's pit right now as he is bringing the 18 car down to pit road as I quickly move around some Nerf bars from another team. They're making some adjustments on the front of the race car. They're taking, I'm trying to peek in and see, looks like a track on the right or the front of the race car. Now I'm looking at the left side tires. The left side tires doesn't seem to be wearing as much as the right rear. It looks like the right rear only is really becoming the story for these 4 Hoosier Racing tires that's bolted onto Whelen Modifieds. Still, the crew making adjustments to Donnie Leah's car. Leah in there talking to the crew right now. Looks like the adjustments are done, and Leah's going to exit off the pits and not lose a lap.
Tony Hirschman is also coming down pit road, Andy Crane. He'll be heading in your direction in just a moment with car number 48. Other cars on pit road include the 21 of Berry again, and it now appears that car number 69 for Tommy Close is looking to return to the competition here. So work still continues on the Houlihan G. Lopes machine. Bo Gunning's car also on pit road as we speak, but now Hirschman's car is on pit road. Looks like they're changing right side rubber at this time too, and Donnie Leah is back down on pit road.
But not a bad strategy, Ben, because Donnie Leah was in the rear of the field anyway after making the tire change. He really doesn't have anything to lose by going back onto pit road and making those adjustments.
Fifth caution to the event has come out here at lap number 79. We are still counting laps. The lucky dog was car number 10. It was 3 laps down. It has picked up 1 of the 3 and has 2 additional laps that he is hoping to pick up.
And who said Eddie wasn't going to get anything for his birthday? He got that free pass right there.
So
but he's still 2 laps down.
So let's set the field with 80 laps into the record books in this CarQuest Spring Sizzler. There have been 3 different leaders so far. Ted Christopher is the man at the point. Reggie Ruggiero has started this event with car number 41. In the 8th starting spot, it has worked his way up to 2nd. Ricky Fuller with the number 1 car started 12th, currently in the 3rd spot. The number 3 of Todd Szegedy started 2nd, was an early leader, is in the 4th position. Then it's Nevin George, the original leader of the event, started at the point in position number 5. In the 6th spot, it is Chuck Hosfeld. 7th spot is Zach Sylvester. And it appears that we need a push truck to assist the number 69 car that came to a screeching halt at the exit of pit road. Kenny Bouchard is back in the pit with car number 55. He's had a tough day so far. 81 of the 200 laps in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler into the record books. And tires are definitely a factor this afternoon. A lot of the crews did not anticipate that, we're sure, but it has become a major ingredient in what will happen during those final laps of success here in the greatest race in the history of spring.
I don't know if the teams had anticipated that we would be running this race under sunshine, considering the bad weather that we had for the first day and a half of our Spring Sizzler. As somebody in Jerry Marquis' crew called it the Spring Drizzler. But the sun has come out, and maybe that's affected tire wear.
About ready to go back to green. 5th caution is completed, and conditions are ready. They head off turn number 4 and work their way back to the line. Green flag is out. Christopher to the advantage. Ricky Fuller and Reggie Ruggiero wheel to wheel and side by side. It's Fuller to take over 2nd. Ruggiero shuffled back to the 4th spot as Todd Szegedy back into 3rd. Ruggiero's got a problem. That car just doesn't hitch up after a caution when those tires cool down.
We've seen it happen to Szegedy on the last restart. It went from 2nd to 4th. Ruggiero went from 2nd to 5th.
Zach Sylvester, runner-up in the Icebreaker event, is now pressuring Chuck Hosfeld for the 6th spot. Sylvester moves to the bottom, shuffles Hosfeld up the racetrack. Give car number 15 for Sylvester, position number 6.
And remember, Zach has fresher rubber than Hosfeld does, and maybe he uses that then to his advantage to infiltrate the top 6.
He has come from 26 to move into the 6th spot. Trouble now, we've got another car around. It is Kevin Goodale. Flemke makes contact. Bo Gunning and Kenny Berry involved in the altercation. Berry is able to pull away under his own power, but it was Kevin Goodale who had a difficult time, lost it directly in front of Flemke, and Bo Gunning got on the brakes hard to try to avoid the situation and got right in the middle of all of that.
What do you think, Ben? Could we see some activity on pit road? Maybe Ruggiero perhaps, or Todd Szegedy? It'll be
sure
interesting.
Would seem like that situation could occur as car number 41. As the tires cooled down, it appeared that on the restart, it became a real problem for the Reg. Tony?
Like he was standing on it and the tires were spinning, but the car wasn't moving forward. Like he was losing bite on the. But you also noticed the 13 kind of drifted up and got real wide there for a little bit of second going into turn 1. I want to comment on the 21 car, Ken Berry. They worked really, really hard to get that car back together, and they were adjusting like mad earlier today because the car was not handling right. He said it was wicked loose, and he really had to hang on to it. And it's obvious they're still chasing it because he spun around 3 times so far in this race, and we're only 87 laps in.
We should point out in the first event of the series this season, that car was totally destroyed. It was completely wrecked in the final circuits of the event. They worked all week long to get it back together. And then, because of the problem created by the weather conditions, they didn't really have any laps in the race car at all. They ran maybe about a half a dozen laps in each practice session and came out in time trial. So it has been a tough time for them, but you have to give them credit. They keep digging and digging and digging and that's what it takes to be a front runner, and that is the defending rookie winner of the 2004 season. So Rene Dupuy's been in and out of pit road as well, and Lemke's team isn't about to give up either, Tony.
A lot of work on the car. The car was hit pretty hard, and you can see as he comes out of turn 4, the car really wants to jump out from underneath him, so he's working very hard in order to maintain that car. As
Here they come.
Here they come into the pits.
Here they come down on pit road. Car number 50, Chuck Hosfeld. Zach Sylvester, the number 15 car. 31 of Ferrante. Shivers, the number 23 car. 35 of Moeller. Let's see what's going to happen here. Is now the 50 of Hosfeld. Right rear tire, the story there. Zach Sylvester, the TAS Country Homes team. Jack up the right side of the car. And a right rear is installed in car number 15. Doug Chenard, the crew chief on that race car. Phil Moran at the other end of pit road, making a track adjustment. They changed the right side rubber, and they are working on the left rear. Sylvester makes it out. Hosfeld will follow. Bo Gunning, Ferrante, and Shivers with car 23. Tommy Bowles down on pit road. Kenny Bouchard is back on pit road. 88 laps will go to Andy Crane.
Well, guys, hot shoe. Chuck Hosfeld just brought the 50 car down to pit road. It was a 4-tire stop. 4 tires were changed, and they made a quick turn on the left rear track bar to give them a little bit more full bite off the corners with the race car. So Hosfeld, they say they're loaded for bear and they're ready to go, as that was the only trip down pit road that Chuck Hosfeld was going to make with car number 50.
Laps on the scoreboard. Tony, let's take time to reset the field. Ted Christopher, the Mystique Motorsports number 13, sits out in front. Rick Fuller, the Polar Beverages Chevrolet, sits second. And how about the drive by the man in the number 3, Todd Zegedy, coming back up from North Carolina for just this race, and he's putting on quite a show.
Yeah, Todd is an amazing driver to be able to jump in that car with a little bit of adjustments to the car, able to make it perform the way it has. Devin George with a good performance in the 0 car as well. And the 41, the Reg, he was really, really up there challenging for the lead. Now he's got to work his way back up through the field because he has several cars in front of him. As we are doubled up, ready to go back. We're going to go to Matt now, so we'll switch over to Matt.
Hey Ben, were you surprised a little bit that Ruggiero didn't come in for tire change that time? Or I guess they're saving it until about 120, 130. However, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes these races at Stafford, as Jerry Marquis pointed out, these long-distance races, there are a lot of cautions early, and then the second half, there's a lot of green flag laps. So you could get burned by waiting.
Well, it appeared on the last restart that Ruggiero had a problem until those tires got heated back up. Will that be the story in this one? We're about to find out in just a moment as we're about to go back to green. Remember, Ruggiero is not a regular now on the tour. His strategy and his team do not have the same background as most of the other teams who do this on a weekly basis when it comes to touring competition. Green flag is back out, and it is Fuller who puts the pressure on the master, Ted Christopher, at the point. Here comes Todd Zegedy back into command, and Reggie Ruggiero is looking racy to the bottom. He moves down underneath Ricky Fuller. Mike Christopher's also coming to the front of the class with car number 79.
Ruggiero looks a lot secure on the bottom groove than he did on the last restart when he was forced to start on the outside.
Good racing at the front of the field as now the Hirschman machine is working its way to content up front.
Tony Hirschman, he had to make a couple of pit stops early on, but Tony Hirschman, it took him a long time to learn how to drive at Stafford, but he has learned it, and he has become a factor in almost every series race in the last 3 or 4 years.
A little further back in the field, you'll discover that Donnie Leah, along with Zach Sylvester, are also starting to come to the front of this field. Remember, both of those teams pitted on pit road. They made chassis adjustments, and they put on right side rubber. Will that be the story in this one? Ted Christopher is your leader out in front. They have not come down pit road as yet. Was that their strategy initially, Matt? What do you think?
I think Ted Christopher wanted to wait as long as he possibly could to pit. It was a strategy that worked for him in the opening race of the season, and if the strategy works, why tinker with it?
Barry Cannell is a master of finding a combination that is easy on tires. and he has done just that.
You know, it's going to be interesting to watch the 18 of Leah and the 15 of Sylvester try to come up through the field. Sylvester's in a pretty good position. If he can just wait for the 18 of Leah to open the holes, and all he has to do is follow him, like a running back following a pulling lineman.
Well, Zach Sylvester has learned a great deal running this touring series. He has become very patient. And for a young driver, that's a very important ingredient to have in your resume. He now is right there on the back row of Donnie Leah, Chris Kopeck directly in front of the Leah car. But as they work their way off turn number 4, it's still Ted Christopher in command. Todd Szegedy still in second, Reggie Ruggiero in the 3rd spot. 4th is Ricky Fuller. 5th position, we have been told car number 79 is down at least 1 lap for Mike Christopher, so 5th will still be Nevin George. Then we believe it's the 99 of Jamie DeMano, the 48 machine, followed by the 5 of Pastriak, and then we go to Chris Kopeck, Donnie Leah, and Zach Sylvester. Sylvester down underneath Leah as they work their way off turn 2. This time, when they come to the line, halfway down and halfway to go.
And Ted Christopher halfway toward becoming the 2nd driver to win 4 spring Sizzlers. There's Donnie Leah trying to charge his way through to the front with Zach Sylvester behind him. Then after the icebreaker, when Zach Sylvester said he's only just turned 21, I almost fell out of the press box because he's been around so long. I swear he was about 26, 27, but he's only 21 years old.
He started his racing career in quarter midgets, went to the Riverside Park Speedway at 13 years of age. He won the very first race in his first full-bodied race car that he competed with. From then on, it has been a success story in late models, pro stocks, SK modifieds, and it's just the beginning. Zach Sylvester has a lot of the right ingredients that'll make people pay attention during this season on the Whelen Modified Tour. He goes down underneath Chris Kopeck. Zach Sylvester, Chris Kopeck, wheel to wheel down at turn 3.
And Sylvester trying to complete the move, and he succeeds, and will take Tony Ferrante with him. So remember just a few laps ago, the 15 and the 18 were running side by side. Now Sylvester has been able to put some distance between himself and the Donnie Leah car.
Chuck Hosfeld is also working his way around Kopeck. He'll pick up a spot there, but it is still TC Ted Christopher, your leader. Right there still in second, the number 3 car for Todd Szegedy, and the red is all over the back bumper of Szegedy, but still unable to get around as he'll try to put the pressure on off turn 4.
Boy, I don't know what's in the water that Reggie Ruggiero is drinking, but he must have got it from the fountain of youth, because he has really looked impressive. You know, it was 20 laps ago where it looked like those tires might be kaput on that car, but maybe they had some regeneration, because he is really pressuring Todd Szegedy for 2nd.
Well, it's the cool down period that gave Ruggiero a problem on the last restart, but that is no longer the case, because the more laps they run, that car comes back to life and becomes very consistent. But Christopher has been flawless at the point since taking over the lead with car number 13.
Ricky Fuller has to be very happy with his performance so far in that 1 car. It's been 2 kind of down seasons for Ricky Fuller, but he has been among the elite for the entire race. The plot thickens in the front of the field, however. Christopher still has a narrow lead over Szegedy. That's the way they've been going at it for about the last 15 laps.
The field is starting to string out just a bit, and that's usually what you see around the halfway point in an event of this distance. But Ted Christopher, one of 3 leaders in this event so far. Nevin George, the first leader, then Todd Szegedy when Christopher took over the lead. Ruggiero has been waiting in the wings in the 3rd spot. Ricky Fuller has come to life and then back down just a bit. Currently sets in the 4th spot. But I would have to say, Matt, that this is definitely a good day so far for Ricky Fuller. He is running the way he used to in Sizzler's past here at Stafford.
Remember the most exciting Sizzler victory that Fuller won back in 1999? 2 laps to go in the final 2 laps of the race. Ricky Fuller came out of the pits. He said, I looked at the laps on the scoreboard, I looked at the two guys in front of me, and I started to count the money.
And count he did. Donnie Leah, who was in and out of pit road on the last caution on 2 or 3 occasions, is now really struggling in the back of the pack, and that's surprising. Chuck Hosfeld, since he pitted, is not coming to the front with the same ease that he did earlier. But for Zach Sylvester, he's running very quick lap and is now just out of the top 10. So keep your eyes on Sylvester.
Yeah, he's about the only guy of the drivers who made early pit stops for tires that have really run stronger after the pit stop than they did before. Everybody else, the guys you mentioned, have struggled since making the change.
Todd Szegedy is just literally running in the tire tracks of Teddy Christopher. And Christopher is now changing his line map. As he goes down into turn number 1, he's trying to guard the bottom of the racetrack. As he comes out of the second turn, he comes out wide. So doesn't Szegedy, but then he'll bring it back down and guard his lane. He knows that Todd Szegedy and Reggie is there, and I think those tires are now starting to show their wear mat on lap number 116.
Well, it's hard to keep the car pinned to the bottom of the track when you're on old tires, because the tendency of the car is to drift up, and it's hard to get the grip to keep that car down when your tires have 117 laps on them.
Good battle shaping up for the 9th and 10th spot, as Zach Sylvester and Nevin George go at it. And Sylvester goes around Nevin George almost like he stopped on the racetrack. That'll give Sylvester the 9th spot.
That was a power move by Zach.
Christopher, Szegedy, and Ruggiero. Fuller all by himself in the 4th spot. Christopher, we believe, still 1 lap down. So 5th would be the 99 of Tomeno. 6th would be Hirschman. 7th spot is Pastriak. 8th spot is Sylvester. 9th spot is Nevin George. And 10th is Tony Ferrante. Just out of the top 10 is car number 50 for Chuck Hosfeld.
Oh, car against the barrier in between turns 1 and 2. It looks like Ricky Fuller.
Car number 1, Ricky Fuller. The car just darted out of line and slammed the Armco retaining wall. Fuller fires the car back up, and he will drive away, and that is amazing after the hit that car took to the wall.
That was a
between
Richter
turns
scale
1 and
hit.
2. We should also point out that car number 4 for Jerry Marquis had been sent back down on pit road because it was not up to speed. So Marquis' car was brought back down on pit road by the Whelen Modified Tour officials for not being up to speed before the caution came out.
What do you think? Is this when Christopher, Szegedy, and Ruggiero go in for tires? The red flag is still out. Pit road is not open. But when the green flag comes out, we'll see if Christopher decides to go to pit. It's about that time, lap 121.
Let's go down to pit road. Andy Crane is going to be there to check out the situation with the Polar Beverages number 1, flat right side tires.
Well, Rick Fuller has brought the race car down to pit road, and heavy damage to the right side of the race car. The right front is definitely flat on the Polar Beverages car. There's a whole lot of scrambling going on pit road right now. As you can see, all the top teams, their crews starting to get up on the wall, waiting for their drivers to come in. We're going to take a look at real quick on the right rear tire of the Polar Beverages car to see what kind of tire wear Rick Fuller is having. Of course, he was one of those drivers up with the lead pack right now. As we're going to see, as Rick Fuller motioning something to the crew right now, something on the front side of the race car, as getting knocked around by the crew down here. As right now, we are waiting for the leaders to head down pit road right now. Ted Christopher should lead the dance marathon down pit road to the attention to their crew. The pit boards are out, they are waving, as both Ted Christopher, Todd Szegedy, and Mike Christopher all set to come down pit road to see their crew to get brand new tires. Ted Christopher is now down in his pit box. The crew over the wall. Right side tires are going to come off. Also the same story for Todd Szegedy. Szegedy, though, is blocked in a little bit by Mike Christopher. Fuel going into all these race cars. Sunoco race fuel. As right now, Ted Christopher's crew quickly around to the left side of the race car. Brand 4 tires, all cars down here, 4 tires, as tire wear definitely an issue. Christopher stop, almost done, down off the jack, revving the motor, and Ted Christopher's gonna win the race off pit road. Now our attention turns to second place running Todd Szegedy. Szegedy getting a left rear tire, only 3 tires. Mike Christopher goes off, Zegedy's gonna fire the motor, and now Todd Szegedy is off. Reggie Ruggiero now fires down here, so Ted Christopher's crew.
And the fuel can popped out, but he jerked the can right out of his mechanic's arm who was putting fuel into the 79 car.
Well, maybe that's a bit of teamwork that hasn't been in place yet for the Christopher team. New driver with the Roger Hill Hillbilly Racing team, and you don't see that very often on the Whelen Modified Tour. But Ben, I think it cost Mike Christopher big time that time.
Well, it is nice to see a former champion of this series, Jamie the Jet Tomeno, in the lead at the front. Now, don't count out Tony Hirschman. He's the defending series champion, currently setting in second. He spun early in the event. He is on the same lap as the leaders and currently sets in second. The silent one is coming to the front of the field. And what about Zach Sylvester? Will the strategy of the young team led by Doug Chenard pay off? They pitted early. Among the cars that pitted in that group were the 50 and the 18. For Zach Sylvester, he was able to thread his way through traffic in an easier fashion than both Chuck Hosfeld and Donnie Leah. Will all of that pay off? 125 laps compete. Let's go down to Andy Crane.
Well, Ben, a story might be developing for the driver sitting in spot number 2, our defending Modified Series champion. Remember that the 48 of Tony Hirschman came down pit road some laps ago. He had a flat left rear tire, but they changed all 4 since he was down pit road, figured get the stop out of the way. They're thinking now, their strategy is tire wear for Tony Hirschman isn't as bad as everybody else, and Tony Hirschman is planning now to go the whole way, go all 200 laps now, or the remaining laps of the 200 lap event on the set of tires that he has. So the drivers that just made a stop now have to race their way back up through the field as our defending champion, Mr. Consistency we call him, Tony Hirschman, set up now, ready to go for the run to the checkers.
Ben, at the season opening icebreaker, Tony Hirschman was the only one of the front runners who didn't change tires, and in the last 2 laps he fell from 2nd to 11th. So a different kind of strategy for Tony Hirschman. Meanwhile, probably the heartwarming moment is at the front of the field, car number 99. The 1990 series champion, Jamie Tomeno, has started more modified tour races than any other driver, about 430 starts for Jamie Tomeno. Kind of the Iron Man of this series, and right now, can that iron turn to gold if he can keep that lead for about 74 more laps?
Wow, this event has had so many interesting things that have popped up in the first 126 circuits, like Mike Christopher on that last pit stop. Literally, his gas man was putting fuel in the race car when Mike Christopher stepped on the gas, took the gas container with him, literally dragged it, dropped still on pit road as he came back out. But we're back to green off turn number 4, and Tomeno's leading him down into turn 1.
Right there, Tony Hirschman looking down low, making a power move on the bottom.
Hirschman in second. Zach Sylvester is third. Tony Ferrante, good run for him this afternoon. Chuck Hosfeld, his surface back among the top 5.
Donnie Leah right behind him.
Here comes Hirschman to the inside. Tony Hirschman wheel to wheel down the back straightaway. Position number 1 to car number 48. Here comes Zach Sylvester to the bottom. The TAS Country Homes machine just took a big piece of real estate out of position number 2. Sylvester up to second. Ferrante in the 4th spot. Hosfeld into position number 5. Donnie Leah is 6th. Tommy Bowles is 7th.
And Ted Christopher is 10th on the racetrack. So he has gained a lot of ground since his pit stop.
70 laps remain in this event. It is still a battle at the point. Now Christopher is coming to the front with a vengeance.
Well, he just went around Greg Shivers like Shivers was driving in mud, and Christopher was driving on asphalt.
Remember, Christopher had more laps of the same set of tires than any of the cars that are now in front of him. Before he made the pit stop, they all pitted early. Their strategy was different. And as you pointed out, Matt, earlier, Hirschman's strategy of being able to save the race car and come on strong at the end has always paid off here in an event of this distance, 200 circuits.
Tony Hirschman has had a lot of big victories in his career, 4 series championships, but he has never won the Spring Sizzler. Will today be the day he fills out that missing hole in his resume?
Time holds the answer to the question there, but it is still a very strong Ted Christopher. He is the fastest car on the racetrack. Get your stopwatch out and time Ted Christopher. At this point in the event, the times usually start to slow, but that is not the case here.
The best case with Christopher, Ben, you don't really need a stopwatch. You can see with the naked eye that he is the fastest car on the Stafford facility.
Todd Zegedy just went around a couple of cars there with an unbelievable move. He goes to the outside of Flemke, and it appears that Zegedy is also coming back to the front, and his partner in crime becomes Reggie Ruggiero.
So Ruggiero trying to take advantage of the holes that Zegedy will open up. Christopher made another power move to get underneath Tommy Bowles. Next on his hit list will be the 31 of Tony Ferrante.
This time when they come back to the stripe, 137 laps now complete. Let's set the field for you. Tony Hirschman is your leader. Zach Sylvester, car number 15, setting in second. Jamie Tomeno is third. Chuck Hospel setting in the 4th spot. Donnie Leah is 5th. 6th is Tony Ferrante. 17th is Ted Christopher. 8th position is the 76th of Tommy Bowles. 9th is Zegedy, and 10th is Reggie Ruggiero.
Tony Hirschman has 2 sons involved in racing. And Jerry Marquis has been black flagged again for not being up to speed. So wouldn't you think you would say that Jerry Marquis would be up to speed at Stafford, but that's been the case this afternoon as he is back on pit road.
Not off to a good start driving Bob Garbarino's race car. They did not have success in event number 1. And the story is the same. A very talented, versatile driver who won this event 1 year ago.
Gets around the lap car with Tommy close. He hangs on to 3rd. Ted Christopher really hasn't gained much ground as the gap remains consistent between himself and Tony Ferrante. Now, under last year's tires, you could go fast with him for about 20 laps and then the advantage went away. We'll see what happens with the 2005 model. But the brightest blip on the radar screen continues to be Tony Hirschman in car number 48. Looks like Zach Sylvester might be gaining on him. Remember, I think the best thing Zach Sylvester has going for him, his best piece of equipment, is the head on his shoulders. In the last race, in the icebreaker, he waited until the final 30 laps to give it everything he had. Do you think he's using the same game plan today?
Could be the story. Zach will tell you his strongest 2 racetracks are Thompson Speedway and the Stafford Motor Speedway. Why is that? He competed and has ran the most laps here of any of the tracks in the Touring Series circuit. 5 different leaders so far, and of course, Tony Hirschman became leader number 5. Zach Sylvester waiting in the wings. They come up on Ricky Fuller. Wasn't long ago that Fuller was a factor among the top 3 cars.
Now he's fighting for his lead lap life. The gap is closed between 3rd and 4th as Jamie Tomeno has some company, and his name is Chuck Hospel.
Hospel now works his way to the outside. Tomeno tries to keep it nice and low, but here comes Hospel. Can't do it. Thinks twice of it, now makes a bid for it to the inside. Changes his lane. Great crisscross racing there, Matt.
Oh, who could do it better than Hospel? It was exciting, but when it was all over, Tomeno still had 3rd place.
The leader, still Hirschman, comes off turn number 4. This is lap number 147. Zach Sylvester still setting in the runner-up spot. Third is still Tomato. Hosfeld in the fourth spot. And fifth spot still remains Donnie Leah.
You know, Zach Sylvester may only be 21 years old, but I think those are dog years as far as Sylvester is concerned, because they might have to call his birth certificate in for an audit, because I think his racing years, he's a lot older and more mature than 21.
A little further back in the field, Christopher has just went around Tony Ferrante.
Boy, it took him a while to do it.
It sure did, as now Christopher's car is definitely not as strong as it was when he put the new rubber on. Just a few laps ago, Matt.
Well, then again, we don't know if he is really pushing it yet. He will still have 50 laps to go when he hits his stripe. And for Christopher, remember, he's come back to first on a normal Friday night here at Stafford, and those races are only 40 laps long. So 50 laps is plenty of time for Christopher to track down Tony Hirschman.
What a great battle going on between Tommy Bowles and Todd Szegedy. Szegedy was able to use a lap traffic situation to his advantage to pick up the spot. He now moves down underneath Ferrante. Szegedy is also working his way back to the front of the field. That currently is the battle for the 7th, 8th, and 9th position. Reggie Ruggiero now works his way and takes over the 10th spot with car number 41.
Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Tony Hirschman continues to have a cozy lead over Sylvester, but Sylvester's still within striking distance.
They come off turn number 4. It still remains Hirschman. His consistent times. We mentioned earlier in this event how that he is able to run lap after lap the same times. He doesn't wear out the race car at all, and that has given him the advantage of becoming a good champion. And he's looking to be a repeat champion. But there is heavy traffic up ahead, Matt.
And lap traffic sometimes given, sometimes it will hurt you. We'll see how it affects Tony Hirschman. So far in this race, the lap cars have stayed down low and given the leaders plenty of room to operate. But Sylvester is starting to crowd our leader.
It's time to pick and choose. They come up on the Ed Close machine. Hirschman makes it by, and so doesn't Sylvester. Jim Storis, the number 47 car, and the 51 of Kanopka. Storis moves to the inside to give room to the leader. Zach Sylvester, the story is the same, as both Hirschman and Sylvester now have nothing but a clear racetrack ahead of them for a good quarter of a mile.
Sylvester continues to be like gum on the bottom of Hirschman's shoe. No matter what Tony tries to do, he can't shake free of him.
Donnie Leah, along with Chuck Hosfeld, also doing their part. Jamie Tomato still sitting in the 3rd spot. Hosfeld in the 4th position. 5th is Leah. 6th spot is Teddy Christopher. 7th spot is Todd Szegedy. 8th is Tommy Bowles. 9th is Reggie Ruggiero. And 10th is Tony Ferrante.
And Ted Christopher might be in 6th place, Ben, but he's about a full straightaway behind Tony Hirschman. He almost needs a Hubble telescope in his car to see the 48. So if Christopher is going to win his 4th Sizzler, he is really going to have to pick up his pace for the final 40 laps.
Look at the battle of the red between Reggie Ruggiero and the 76 of Tommy Bowles. Ruggiero now moves underneath the lap car of David Etheridge. Bowles goes to the outside, and Bowles will lose the spot.
Well, that was a classic move by Ruggiero, wasn't it? He used Dave Etheridge as a pick to get some breathing room between himself and Tommy Bowles.
161 laps into the record book. Hirschman and Sylvester out in front and literally pulling away from the competition here. But for Jamie Tomato in the 3rd spot and Chuck Hosfeld, they've got nothing but traffic ahead of them to get in contention with our 1st and 2nd place cars.
And then Sylvester does have a little bit fresher rubber than Hirschman does, but I don't know at this stage of the race, is it going to be fresh enough to be much of an advantage?
Meanwhile, Reggie Ruggiero is starting to close up the gap. His next target becomes the 13 car of Teddy Christopher.
Boy, would that be something if Reggie Ruggiero can track down Christopher. Boy, regardless of what happens the rest of the way, it's been fun to watch Reggie Ruggiero in action today. It looks like it's back in the 90s. Reggie Ruggiero is on top of his game.
165 now is being shown on the board. Tony Hirschman still in command. Zach Sylvester runs with him. Then there's about a full straightaways distance between second and third, which is Jamie Tomeno, the Perth Amboy Spring number 99. And then we go to the 50 car of Chuck Hosfeld. Donnie Leah is next in the 5th spot. 6th position, Todd Zegedy. 7th position is Ted Christopher. 8th spot, Jerry Marquis. 9th spot, Tommy Bowles. And 10th is still Tony Ferrante.
And it was only a few laps ago that Christopher was on top of the 3 car like a bumper sticker. An indication that Christopher, he had a good fast 20 laps right after his tire change, but it really hasn't worked for him as he's lost a lot of ground since he's returned.
Car number 16, Chris Kopech, is about to go a lap down. He's had a tough day, being on the money and out of the money. This is his first visit back after a year layoff.
You know, a lot of people thought that Tony Hirschman might retire from weekly series racing after he won his 4th championship, but he has decided to come back. It looks like nothing has changed. He's still the same solid competitor that he's been on this series for the last 18 years.
Battle right now. Teddy Christopher to the inside. The fans are loving it. As Reggie Ruggiero goes to the outside, the Reg moves alongside. Ted Christopher loses the spot. Reggie Ruggiero is a man with a mission.
Wow, what a whirlwind move by Reggie as he got Christopher the hard way on the outside. Well, you know, not too many drivers today have run well on the outside groove. Reggie Ruggiero is one who has had some success running on the high side.
It appears that now Hirschman is starting to pull away a bit from Zach Sylvester, but they are now back in heavy lap traffic as Hirschman's next target to put a lap down becomes Doug Cole. The 10 of Ed Blenke, 54 of Etheridge, and the 1 car of Ricky Fuller.
So he's got a little cushion between himself and the 15 as the 77 is right there. And Hirschman will go underneath the 10 car of Eddie Flemke Jr. Now we'll try to go to the outside of Dave Etheridge. So it looks like Hirschman still has a lot of grip in that 48 race car.
It appears that Sylvester is starting to show a little bit of wear now as Hirschman starts to motor away. Sylvester is still waiting in the wings, but the clock is ticking. 25 laps to go in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler.
And I think it shows you a veteran driver like Hirschman learned from his mistake. He didn't pit in the season opener. It cost him a potential victory. So this time he pitted early, changed all 4 tires, got track position, and once you give a guy like Tony Hirschman track position, you're just about, the next thing you're going to give him is the trophy.
Overcoming a situation earlier where he would spin and almost go down a lap.
Right out of turn 4.
Hirschman was able to come back to the front, get his mindset back into play, and since taking over the lead, he has really not been challenged at all, man.
No, Zach Sylvester was there for a while, and you figure Well, maybe Zach with a little bit of fresher tires would be able to mount a challenge. But Christopher Hirschman has had a joyride for about the last 40 laps.
He sure has, as they work their way back to the line. A little further back in the field, we take a look. At a battle going on between the number 99 car for Jamie Tomeno and Chuck Hosfeld. And now throw Donnie Leah and Todd Zegedy into that mix, and that's a real battle, man.
Yeah, 4 cars almost could fit under a beach umbrella. But Zegedy trying to go underneath the 18 of Leah. Meanwhile, what do you think? Tomeno and the 50 of Hosfeld have run side by side for about the last 60 laps. And Tomeno has been able to keep holding him off.
He sure has. His Hosfeld right there glued to his back bumper. Donnie Leah and Todd Zegedy also right there, and nobody's letting anyone gain any extra track position here. Hosfeld gives Tomeno a shot to the bumper. Here comes Hosfeld. The 50 car is down underneath Tomeno. They touch. Wow. Tomeno had that car literally sideways, and Chuck Hosfeld was still able to hold on. Then Leah comes back to life. So doesn't Todd Zegedy.
Now Ruggiero trying to go around Jamie Tomeno and pick up a spot, and he will pull off the move.
Etheridge becomes the pick car at the bottom. And here comes Leah to the outside. Leah takes over the 3rd spot. Drifts up the racetrack, and Hosfeld's got it back again. Leah is in trouble.
Well, put the SOS out of the 18 car, but a good move by Hosfeld to get his 3rd place position back. And right there with him is Todd Zegedy in car number 3.
And behind Todd Zegedy, guess who? The Reg. He's back among the top 5 cars.
Boy, he's been as far up as 2nd place, and now he is threatening to invade the top 4 once again.
185 laps are complete.
Tony had a little bit of difficulty that time getting around the lap car, and Tony Ferrani. And Zach Sylvester, the lead is not as big as it once was, but it's still pretty substantial. Remember, Ben, the caution flag can give you something, and it can take away. It took away from Zach Sylvester in the opening race of the season. Maybe the caution can come out now and maybe save him.
Car number 3, Todd Zegedy, has just moved into the 3rd spot. The tail that wags the dog becomes the Reg. The red number 41, give Ruggiero position number 4.
And that dog is a greyhound because Ruggiero just unloaded underneath the 50 car of Hosfeld.
Hosfeld now has to settle for 5th. Leah is 6th. Tomeno is 7th. Christopher is 8th. And Nevin George sets in the 9th spot with Tommy Bowles in position number 10. This time, when they come back to the line, 10 laps to go.
And I think, Ben, as long as this race stays caution-free, it is going to take a monumental effort for Sylvester.
Trouble now. Mike Muller goes spinning off turn number 4. And this event is about to change.
And as soon as we said Hirschman wanted it to go caution-free, out came the yellow. It will be a single file restart. Remember, because we're inside the final 10 laps, the lucky dog will not be used, so nobody will be able to pick up a lap. It'll just be decided among the front runners, especially Tony Hirschman and Zach Sylvester, and kind of a bit of reprieve, Ben, for Todd Zegedy in car number 3 and Reggie Ruggiero in 41, as they get a chance to see Tony Hirschman up close and personal. They haven't seen him for a while.
Well, there is no question about it. There have been so many mini battles going on throughout this event, but Reggie Ruggiero with the number 41 car finds himself back up on the board, and don't count out the Reg. He is hungry, and his fans just love to see him come back here like days of old and show everybody he is alive and well and is a contender in open wheel modified racing. And he has done just that here today, scrapping his way back to the front of this field.
And Ben, in the 20-year history of this division, I know you've seen a lot of these races, who has had more come from behind victories in the final laps than Ruggiero has?
That is true, and so close to call when we see Ruggiero, who is right there now with the 3 car. And that, of course, has been Todd Szegedy, who's just been flawless all afternoon as well. Down on pit road, this is amazing. Donnie Leah and Nevin George are on pit road. They were cars well planted among the top 8 positions here.
Now, why would they be pitting, Ben, at this late juncture of the race?
It is interesting. They're looking at right side rubber on the number 18 car. Right side rubber on Nevin George's car. Let's go to Andy Crane. Andy?
Guys, it's definitely the right side tires that are becoming a factor for these guys in the late stages. Donnie Lee and Nevin George really didn't have anything to lose. They were really not gaining any positions, so they figured they'd come in, change right side tires, and then make a mad dash to the front of the field in the final remaining laps of the CarCrest Spring Sizzler.
Mike Bowler appears headed back onto pit road in car number 35. Mike Bowler, another former SK Modified competitor at Stafford Motor Speedway.
The clock is ticking. There were 8 laps left in the greatest race in the history of spring, and what an incredible afternoon it has been here at Jackaroo Stafford Motor Speedway. The story in this event is going to shake down. There are several different combinations, but among them being Tony Hirschman, the defending series winner. They called the series then the Featherlight Modified Series. Now it is called the Whelen Modified Tour. The Camco Key Materials number 48 is your leader. The youngster that finished in the runner-up spot, driving the Sylvester Country Homes, number 15, Zach Sylvester, is currently setting in second. Deja vu, Matt. A similar situation took place in the first event of the series when a lapped automobile spun and brought out a late event caution. Zach Sylvester lost that race by a bumper. Will that be the story today? Stay tuned, because the men that followed are just as tough as Teddy Christopher was in round number 1.
No, I can figure out the strategy for Tony Hirschman. Keep that car low, as close to the white line as possible. If Zach Sylvester is going to win the Spring Sizzler, it's going to have to be him making a pass on the outside. Tony Hirschman being around for as long as he has, I don't think he's going to leave the door to the bottom groove open.
We talked a little bit earlier about the importance of tires, saving your tires, having the right setup to go the distance. For Tony Hirschman, he has done just that. For Zach Sylvester and his young team, they have also done that. But the story of the 3 cars that followed, including the 3 of Todd Szegedy, the 41 of Reggie Ruggiero, and Chuck Hosfeld with car number 50, they have pitted at an entirely different time in this event. Those 3 competitors have a few less laps, not many, than the cars that run in position number 1 and 2. With 194 laps, the clock is still ticking. We are about ready to go back to green. They are single file. Among the cars still in the top 10 include Jamie Tomeno, setting in position number 6. Ted Christopher, Tommy Bowles, Charlie Pastriak, and Donnie Leah, the man that just pitted. Let's see what's going to happen when they come back to the line. The green flag is out, single file, and Hirschman runs away.
And Sylvester did not come up to speed, almost got together with the Szegedy car.
Look at the wrench. He's on the outside of Chuck Hosfeld. Here comes Teddy Christopher. He'll challenge for the 6th spot. Tomeno stuck in the outside lane. Christopher moves up to position number 6. Hirschman leads him back to the line.
A little contact between Ruggiero and Hosfeld to open up the room for Reg. Ruggiero has moved back into 4th place.
And if Reggie can do it, so can Ted Christopher. Christopher follows him through. He'll take over the 5th spot. Out in front, it's still Hirschman. Sylvester still running in 2nd. The Reg isn't done yet. As they come off turn number 4, he'll set his sights on Todd Szegedy down in turn 1.
Ruggiero would love to sit on the podium in the Spring Sizzler. Here comes Christopher down low, trying to take the spot away from Reg. Ruggiero says, and gunning is spinning. He has come to a stop.
On turn number 4, the 2-lap marker is given. We're not going to yellow. It is still Hirschman in command. Trouble now. Off turn 4, Donnie Leah tags the wall hard. We're under yellow.
Out.
Donnie Leah hits at a ton on lap number 198 to bring out the caution in this action-packed event. For the CarQuest Spring Sizzler, Tony Hirschman took advantage of things on the last restart pulled away by 4 car lengths over Zach Sylvester in second.
Well, we saw Donnie Leah take the steering wheel off of that car. As our safety crew quickly comes to the assistance of Donnie Leah.
9 cautions in the events during the course of 198 laps. The story this afternoon in the greatest race in the history of spring, the first leader of the event for 28 circuits was car number 0 for Nevin George. Then on lap number 29, it was car number 3 for Todd Szegedy to take the lead. Ted Christopher moved to the front by lap number 56 and held on to lap 122. Then it was car number 99 for the Jet to take over the lead. Tony Hirschman was back in command on lap number 129.
And this race cannot finish under yellow as we go to Andy.
Well, so much for Donnie Leah trying to get the advantage with tires with 10 laps remaining, as it looked like a little bit of contact as he was racing for position. Hard contact. The car, almost like Todd Owen in the SK modified feature event, started to climb the wall a little bit, but then came back down on all fours. Good thing is Donnie is getting out of the car. He dropped the window net. He is okay, but a tough break for the Long Island native Donnie Leah, as he was one of the hot contenders here coming into the CarQuest Spring Sizzler, but right now his day is going to end on the hook, a couple laps too early.
You know, Ben, you look at the past champions of the Spring Sizzler, you see a lot of great names of the history of this sport. The one name you won't see is Tony Hirschman. He's won 4 modified championships. He was voted 2 years ago as one of the top 10 modified drivers of all time. But this is a big victory that's escaped him throughout his career. Will today be the day he can finally say, I'm in the same boat with Richie Evans and with Fred DeCero and Eddie Flemke Sr. and Mike Stefanik and Greg Sachs winning the Spring Sizzler. Jimmy Spencer, the '84 champion. The very best have carved their name on the trophy. Can Tony Hirschman hold off Zach Sylvester and do it today?
They are single file coming off turn number 4. Green flag is out. Sylvester again, not as quick on the restart. Hirschman by an advantage of 2 car lengths. Then it is Szegedy in the 3rd spot. Here comes the red. He runs in the tire tracks of Szegedy.
And Christopher is right there, crowding Ruggiero for the number 4 spot.
Christopher goes to the inside. The white flag is out, but there's no surrendering. 5 cars, nose to tail. Christopher pulls out a line. Hirschman still in command, down to turn 3.
And the gap between him and Sylvester is widening. They round the 4th turn. Here comes Tony Hirschman.
Sylvester reels him back in, but it's Hirschman at the line. Sylvester in for 2nd. Szegedy for the 3rd spot. Great run for the Reg. And Ted Christopher has to settle for position number 5.
Tony Hirschman suffered through an early spin and came back to win.
And what an event it has been here this afternoon. 202 circuits now showing on the Dodge Weekly Racing Series scoreboard, but there is no question about it. Defending series champion Tony Hirschman is heading to CarQuest victory lane. Zach Sylvester is 2 for 2 at finishing 2nd. And what about Todd Szegedy? A great run for him in the Mike Bowler race car to finish in the 3rd spot. And no one who is present here will forget the run of Reggie Ruggiero. Let's go to Andy Crane.
Well, Tony Hirschman has pulled his 48 car to CarQuest victory lane and shuts the Kiko Supply Company car off. He will now etch his name in history books as a winner of the CarQuest Spring Sizzler. The congratulations from his crew right now is just sitting, taking it all in right now, unbuckling the helmet. Taking a look at these tires real quick. Remember, Hirschman pitted well before lap 100. As a couple of chunks out of the right rear, but for the most part, just like the last set of tires that came off, tires were looking pretty good for Tony Hirschman. As the last time we went racing here at Stafford with the Tour, Tony Hirschman ended up in victory lane in the fall final, but never in his illustrious racing career has he sat here in CarQuest victory lane for the Spring Sizzler. Tony adjusting the CarQuest hat right now, still has the head sock on, one of the safety devices. Wheel coming off for Hirschman now. He's going to take a big drink of Village Spring water as he climbs on out of the Camco Supply Company car number 48. The wreath going on Tony Hirschman right now. Tony Hirschman.
Good job. You're doing a good job, buddy.
Getting the congratulations from Zach Silvestri. Tony, you can now call yourself a winner in the Spring Sizzler. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been coming here a long time to this race, and we had a good run here last year, and we just got beat near the end. And we had a decent car today. In the beginning there was just a little bit too loose. I tried going for second place early in the race, and I got chopped down on and spun, and we come back up into the top 10. You guys did a great job on a pit stop, tightening the car up, made a few adjustments, and car just come in, and later in the race their track took rubber and it come in real good. I was worried, them other guys pit it, with like 75 to go, but they said we were driving away from them. So car's been awesome here. I mean, we had a great year here last year, and I hope we can continue this year.
Tire wear seemed to be a factor during the 200-lap event, but we're looking at the right rear tire. Really, on both pit stops, the tires really held up for you.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago we had an awesome run going too. We led, and I decided not to come in for tires, and it bit us at the end. We run out of tires with 15 to go, so we knew we couldn't go the whole distance here, so we had to come in and get some tires, and car just hooked up then later on, and we were gone. It was fun. Sylvester was real strong there, and then I know Zegedy was coming into 3, but we were just on cruise.
Well, second place last year, first this year. What makes you so good here at Stafford?
I don't know. I struggled here so many years, and we come up with a nice combination setup. We're going to have to tune on it a little bit because these tires this year, it's not quite as good on. We got a few adjustments to make it a little bit better, but we're close.
Well, you have one happy crew behind you. I'm going to let you start celebrating. Congratulations, Tony.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Thanks all the fans for coming out today. It didn't look good this morning, but thanks for coming out and seeing us.
Tony Hirschman, the 2005 winner of the CarQuest Spring Sizzler.
All right, thank you very much, Andy Crane. Now down with our second place finisher. The man in finish in front of him has his 4th career victory at this track, but this young man almost picked up his first. Andy?
Well, Zach Sylvester having a couple drinks of Village Springs water, but I'll tell you what, 2 for 2. Second last week, second here at Stafford. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, the TAS Country Home Chevrolet was just incredible today. We didn't start off that great, but we knew, it was a long race, and we had tested here before, and we knew we could end up with a halfway decent car. We just played our cards right.
Now, was it deja vu all over again, as back in Thompson you had a green-white checkered finish, right here at Stafford in the mix again, and another green-white checkered finish?
I know, I just can't seem to get away from them. Sometimes they help me, sometimes they hurt me. No, it was tough. We were really good on cold tires. Tony drove a great race. He's a real good veteran, and they're tough to beat. So we tried to hang in there best we could and see what we had for him at the end, and this is where we ended.
Well, 2 second-place finishes, great way to get the season started. I'm sure it's not too long before we see you in victory lane with this Whelen Modified Tour.
No, I don't think so. It's coming shortly.
There we go. Zach Sylvester, another runner-up finish for the Whelen Modified Series Tour.
Brought the nice weather up from North Carolina with him, filling in this week for Eric Beers. Of course, the 3 car is something that this young man has had to battle every time he's come to Stafford Motor Speedway to try to contend for his wins, but now he finds himself piloting that ride. Andy Crane down with a 3rd place finisher.
Todd Zegedy filling in for Eric Beers, right in the mix all race long. Ended up bringing Old Blue, number 3, home in the 3rd place position.
First thing I'd like to thank is God. I mean, he blessed me with some of the moves I do and some of the accidents I avoid, and he's by my side. I also got to thank John Lucas Savage, Mike Bowler and everybody. The whole team is awesome. They do a great job, and car was great. I mean, I think it's my fault I didn't win today. I drove too hard coming up through the pack and burnt it up a little bit. And I think if we got a good 10 laps under the car, it would come back on again. But I just didn't have quite enough to get up off the corner the last 10 laps. Earlier, it would have been another story.
Tire wear seemed to be a factor up and down pit road. Was it the same thing with you guys?
I don't think so. We had great tire wear. Not that I know of. I don't think we had any ring. I saw every guy that was in front of me had a big ring around the right rear, and everybody was getting loose. And I just was real easy on the throttle coming up off straight, and I think that makes a big difference when you're getting up on the throttle real easy. I mean, it's going to help you at the end.
Well, you definitely filled in for Eric Beers very well, coming back home to Stafford, and we'll hopefully see you every Sunday down south, as well as now you're down with Robert Yates Racing, and hopefully some test sessions coming up for you very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm just going to work hard and move on. You got to take chances in your life, and I'm taking a chance, and I think I always have a home here with the Modifieds.
Todd Szegedy coming back, not forgetting how to wheel one of these Modifieds around Stafford, bringing Old Blue into third place finish.